of restoration aided by computers.
They had followed the first emperor of China, fighting everywhere and conquering the 6 other kingdoms in order to form the powerful Qin Empire. They were valiant and loyally guarded the first emperor. After being dormant for thousands of years, they are now still heroic. The terracotta army of Qin Shi Huang is now regarded as one of the 8 miracles of the world. On entering the museum of the terracotta figurines guarding the mausoleum of Qin Shi Huang, we see the guards of Qin Shi Huang's mausoleum standing in rows, exhibiting the past prestige of the empire. Standing among them, people exclaim with admiration, the soldiers are still lifelike after 2,000 years. But outside pit number 1, we see another side of the terracotta army. This is a field for restoring figurines. The scene here is totally different from that of the exhibition pit. The strong soldiers and valiant generals of the past are now fragmented, and some of them are even indistinguishable. Archaeologists at the site told us that more or less every figurine was damaged before excavation.
现在还没有发现一件一点都没有碎的，就是有些好一点的碎成几块，碎的最厉害的就是100多片。
In order to restore the past features, the piles of fragments must be reintegrated into the original army figurines. It's not a simple task. It requires long experience and cleverness. Master Lan Desheng of the museum is one such restorer. Every day he looks for fragments of the same figurine among a hill of fragments and reintegrates them. He has been working in the museum since he graduated from school in 1996 and restored more than 30 objects. During so many years of working, he is now a very experienced restorer of the terracotta army. The acceleration in the speed of restoration attracted the attention of the society. Zhou Mingchuan is a professor in the computer department of the Northwest University. He was born in Lindong, where the figurines were excavated, and grew up listening to stories of Qin Shi Huang. But he found that the number of figurines in the pits didn't change significantly during his frequent visits. Professor Zhou came to the museum and talked with the workers. He learned that the museum is seeking new methods to change the situation of slow restoration. He thought that, as computer science is developing rapidly, why not use it for restoration? Facial restoration of skulls is a project of Professor Zhou in cooperation with the Ministry of Public Security, in which the appearance of the dead can be reproduced from the form of the skull by a computer. It is called graph visualization.
可视化技术呢，就是用计算机图形和图像的方法，把这个过去我们看不到的东西，用在计算机里面实现处理、实现显示。比如脑子是看不到的，但是呢，通过3维构造以后呢，我们可以用3维可视化技术把脑子人的大脑在计算机屏幕上为真实的显示出来。
But Professor Zhou was unfamiliar with relic restoration. He was not sure whether computer graphic visualization could be employed in the restoration of the terracotta army figurines. He thought of Professor Wang Jianxin, an archaeologist in the same university who has taken part in many excavations of relics around the country. He made a lot of contributions to the investigation of the Qin terracotta army. For processing a pottery fragment with a computer, we must first transform it into a data file readable by the computer. In three-dimensional visualization, the space coordinates of this object are achieved by scanning, and its three-dimensional shape is saved in the computer as a graphic file.
这个碎片现在呢就已经进到了计算机里面，我们可以看到，在计算机里面，它的整个外部形态很容易的，我们得到了这个外部形态，而且它上面的这个花纹在上面也可以看得很清楚了，它的曲线我们得到了充分的表现。
When all the data of the fragments has been entered, how will the computer judge which two pieces can be connected together? Several days of calculation didn't bring any results. Professor Zhou was at a loss again and thought of learning from manual restoration. He went to Professor Wang, and Wang showed him how pottery vessels were restored manually in his lab.
一般我们这个复原的陶器呢，都是这样，都是先按这个质地、颜色还有纹饰这3个要素呢，把这些出土这些陶片把它分类。同一类的陶器呢，就是陶片的当中呢，往往会同一件陶器，它应该是同一类的，大多数情况下。
After watching the manual restoration process carefully, Professor Zhou found that the computer could easily distinguish color and decoration characteristics, but couldn't do anything on textural recognition. Nearly all of the past attempts were stopped here. Professor Zhou wondered, maybe computers can never replace human work. Whenever Professor Wang was working, Professor Zhou would watch at his side. He found that gradually Professor Wang always fixed his attention on the fractures of the fragments. Professor Wang called this finding fractures.
复原的时候呢，就是按照咱们就是找茬儿，它茬口跟茬口要连接起来。像它这个刚才我们看到的这件，它的茬口跟它的茬口，这茬口能连接起来，是吧？这样子才能够。 一件一件的，一片一片把它拼对起来。
On coming back, Professor Zhou began to think. He thought about taking data of the fractures by scanning and using these data to find two pieces with coincidental fractures by computer. The fracture of a piece of pottery is a curved surface in space, which can be depicted by computers through scanning. Because the number of points on a surface is indefinite, Professor Zhou has to choose its characteristic points.
什么叫曲线的特征点呢？我们比如说，我们先说一个在2维上的一个问题。这是一张完整的纸，当我们把这个纸呢，比如说我们现在把这个纸撕成一些碎片，把一个2维的碎片投影在平面上，我们会对它的边界呢是在上面会出现一个边界的曲线，在边界曲线上面。 曲率最大的，也就是变化最大的那些点，就是它的特征点。把这些变化最大的特征点连起来，就形成了一个特征点的曲线。特征点的曲线和另外的特征点的曲线对比的时候呢，它们一致性最好的就是能够匹配上的那些曲面。
Similarly, in three-dimensional visualization, the computer can judge whether the pieces can be matched from the characteristic points of two fractures on different fragments. After a lot of hard work, a computer-aided restoration system was finally designed, and the original shape of the pottery jar was displayed on the screen. Professor Zhou chose 10 fragments from a pile of broken terracotta army figurines. During the scanning, Professor Zhou reminded his assistant to frequently take as many and as accurate fractured data as possible.
就扫的时候呢，特别要注意一下这个啥呢？它的那个边界部分，接的时候呢是按这个边界来接的。哎，像这个破损的部分，看损的这个和这个外部边界断面形态非常重要。
Among the fragments collected on site, there might be fragments of horses and carts mixed with those of figurines. Manual restoration is very difficult. Can the computer restore this pile of fragments? The workers are waiting to see the results.
在匹配计算的过程中间，我们就选出一个和它最接近的。现在看，选出一个最接近的。这个最接近，我们现在要交互式。那么就是怎么办呢？我们人工可以干预一下，认为这个是合适的，我们打 OK。 那么这时候这2个片儿呢，就合二为一，生成一个新的片儿。拿这个新的片儿呢和其余的片呢再进行比较，这样以此类推。
The results obtained from the computer is exciting. Using the data obtained by the scanning of tens of terracotta figurine fragments on the site, a general's head was restored from 8 fragments. During the restoration, the computer can record and print the sequence of matching steps for reference. The image of the general's head is also completely displayed. Restoring workers can now glue the pieces together according to the picture output of the computer. They can restore the head in less than a day, which is unimaginable before.
Professor Zhou's computer-aided restoration of the terracotta army figurines has brought significant changes to archaeological study. The digitalization of archaeology allows specialists to carry out the restoration, preservation, and reproduction of relics using computers. It seems certain that in future archaeological investigations, computers will have a more and more important role to play, and the computer-aided restoration of the terracotta army figurines will bring new hope for the restoration of other relics. With that, we come to the end of this edition of Nature and Science. Thanks for watching. I'm Li Dongning. Bye for now.